Not at the grand final, however. Benji Marshall felt like McDonald's, so he went out and brought home at 11 o'clock at night McDonald's for their pre-match meal for the biggest game of their lives.
I'd like to give a big shout out to the Hoodoo Gurus, who have given us permission to use part of their song, That's My Team, as our new podcast episode intro for all of their music. And whenever they are going live or performing live, head to their Facebook and their Instagram. The links will be in the description below. Be sure to give them a like and a follow as well on Facebook and Instagram.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Final Tackle podcast, and we've got dual grand final winner, 03 with the Panthers and 05 with the West Tigers. Paul, I'm probably going to butcher the last name, Whatuira. Thank you for joining us today, mate.
You're welcome, CJ. Pleasure to be here, and you said it pretty awesome, so...
Okay. Okay, sweet, because I know it's not Whatuira. That'd be a bit, yeah. But I've tried my best, because you were one of the... outstanding players when I was a kid growing up watching. You, Lance Hire and all them of the New Zealand team in particular. So you were always on the screen that all the commentators would always be saying, Paul Whatuira on the wing or whatever. So let's get started. Your debut with the Warriors. What was that like for you, getting your, more or less for the Auckland Warriors, because you're more or less, I think it's from Wellington, but getting your debut in first grade?
I was 17 years old at the time, and my gran was the coach, and I moved from my hometown of Whatuira straight into the Big Smoke. So I left school and did a pre-season training with the Warriors.
Okay.
And round two, my gran comes up to me and says, "Hey, you're going to come for us to a trip to Sydney. You're going to stay for a week. You won't play this week. I just want you to get a feel of what it's like to stay in a 5-star hotel, train with the boys while over in Australia. So you're not playing. I just want to bring you over here for experience."
Yep.
So here I am, a young 17-year-old boy from Whatuira, staying in a 5-star hotel, eating all this extravagant, beautiful food. We had Scotch fillet steaks and pasta meals. I pretty much, after a week of staying in a 5-star hotel, I pretty much put on 5 kilos. And three hours before kickoff, my gran comes up to me and says, "Hey, Fats, you're playing."
Oh, shit.
Yes, so he told me 3 hours before the game. Fortunately, I was rooming with Monty Beetham, and he calmed me down. And
yeah, it would have been experienced.
It was special moments. Yeah, it was special moments. I only played 3 minutes, but I'll tell you what.
Still 3 minutes?
I noticed the pace of playing first grade football to playing rugby league college football, and I really enjoyed it, and I was thankful that Mike Graham believed in my talents at such a young age.
Well, yeah, that's insane. Do you think maybe he had that planned for the whole week? Like he told you, no, not going to play, but he totally planned it. Do you reckon?
Most probably, but for myself, it come as a shock. Like I said, I thought I was only there over there for a holiday, but I ended up playing, and it was a special moments, and yeah, I'm just thankful that Mike Graham saw my talents and believed in me at a young age, and was able to play alongside Stacey Jones and Nigel Wagner, who were legends and who I looked up to at the time as well.
Oh, for sure. And then obviously, once your stint at the Warriors ended, you headed over to the Melbourne Storm, heading over to, you could say, the mainland of NRL in Australia, in the Storm. What was that like, and the culture differences and all that sort of stuff for you?
The culture was a complete change.
Okay.
With Melbourne, as everybody knows, they have a winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wanted to go to Melbourne.
Okay.
I'll backtrack it a few years.
Go for it.
Melbourne Storm came to Wellington. I was a 16-year-old, and they ran a training camp. Chris Henderson was the coach at the time, and there was 70 young rugby league talents from Wellington.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately, I was picked out of these bunch to come and train with the Melbourne Storm at
age
of 16.
Wow.
This was in 1999 preseason, 98 preseason, before they won the premiership.
Yep.
And training alongside Tauraniko and Richard Swain, Matt Uroa,
Stephen Kearney, Kamali, Hill, everyone.
Paul Marquette, Marcus Bai.
All of those names make goosebumps.
Yeah, legends. Training with them at 16 for a whole week was the best experience that I had ever gotten. It gave me their passion and gave me their drive to become a first grade player. So even though I went to the Warriors and it was I experienced a lot that year, I always wanted to
play for
go
the
to
Storm.
Melbourne, play in Australia, because as we know, the Australian culture, especially in rugby league, they do have their winning attitude, especially at Melbourne Storm. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I only played 6 first grade games.
Still played games and still was amongst that culture and that winning culture, you know?
That's right. They still to this day have that winning attitude.
Exactly.
Training,
you could play no games for Melbourne Storm, but still be contracted with them for a year and get so much out of it, you know?
Yeah, 100% right, CJ. And so I'm also learnt watching these legends on the field, but also away from the field, and I picked up those triads and work ethic. And I believe that was the best lesson, education that I got in rugby league, living in Melbourne, playing for Melbourne Storm for that whole year, and it put me in good stead when I moved to the Panthers. And
well, yeah, you definitely, because because the next 2 clubs you played for were grand final winners, and you were in both of those grand finals with the Panthers in 03 and the Tigers in 05. So, I mean, first of all, let's just get the elephant out of the room and talk about the grand finals first. What was it like to win your first grand final in 03 with the Panthers, and what was it like winning it in 05 with the Tigers, and the potential differences that you felt at the end of each game?
Great question, CJ. Looking back at it, I'm also appreciate it now that since I've retired.
Yeah.
When you went as a player, it came so quickly. I was only 22 years of age, and I was so young. I didn't know how to appreciate it or understand the magnitude of winning, playing it in the grand final, but yet
let alone winning
grand final. So I do appreciate it now. But looking back in 2003. Wow, we weren't favourites. We won the Premiership. The Roosters, they had the legend Brad Fittler, who was
they went on to go into 3 more grand finals, I think. Like, they won it the year before, come up against you, went up against Bulldogs the year after. They were the team to beat at the beginning of the 2000s.
They were, and so we honestly we had no pressure in 2003. John Lang was a great coach. Had genuine personal ability to connect to the players, and their whole week, the grand final week, we prepared like we normally do. We didn't get overawed by the occasion. I know the Roosters, they stayed in the hotel for the entire week, so they would have walking out of their hotel room, the media everywhere. We stuck to a normal routine. We had no pressure. We weren't favourites.
Yeah, from what I was told because I've been told by a few players from that team, you know, Trent Waterhouse, Sats and all that, and Gower, he said that Langy told you guys literally just to treat the week like it was no different. Go, play golf if you play golf. Do whatever, you know, lap up the week because it may never come and happen again for you guys.
That is 100% right. And we prepared the best that we could. We took one game at a time. We had no pressure. Obviously, there's pressure on us, but the Roosters
had more pressure to go back to back. Yeah,
the more the pressure was on the Roosters. So we knew what we could do. We believed in our skills. The team camaraderie at the time was at its highest. We won 8 straight, which was broken now by the Panthers of 2020.
Again, by the Panthers. Yep.
So hopefully there is a repeat in a premiership, because it's been a long time. But yeah, we just had a lot of confidence in ourselves. Reece Wessel was playing over the skin.
Oh, mate,
Danger man. Obviously, we had probably the world's greatest centre at the time, Ryan Gertler, and Craig Gower, our captain, our leader, was doing his job well, and we stuck to our guns. It was a rainy day.
Oh, it was bucketing that game. It was.
Yeah, so it probably played into our favour, CJ. We're some big boys, as you know. And yeah, we were able to take out the win. I'm not going to lie. Luke Prittis was our only grand final experience in our team,
because he'd played in the 2000 with the Broncos. Yeah,
he definitely led by example as well, and he showed us true leadership qualities and setting up a few of the tries and scoring scoring one himself. So yeah.
And there was a halftime spray that apparently Joel Clinton went off in the sheds at halftime. Do you remember anything that he said during that halftime?
Sorry, I may have gone to the toilet before while I was having this talk, but no, it was a lot of emotion when you're playing it in front of 80,000
It was like a we can do this sort of thing. It wasn't a going off. It was a fuck yeah, we can do this. We've got this sort of thing.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact words, but Joel Clinton is a very passionate man.
Yes.
And he speaks from the heart and he leads by example. And, well, it worked. We were able to pull away and win the grand final convincingly.
Now, the turning point. Some argue that it was Sat's tackle. Others argue that it was Luke Rooney's second try. For you personally, during the game, if you remember, which was the turning point in your opinion out of those two events?
They were both important parts in the game. I have to say Scott Sattler's tackle was definitely a relief factor.
Well, it would have been a momentum shift, that's for sure, yeah.
Momentum shift, it could have gone either way, and just to see the effort that Scott Sattler put in to make that tackle, it definitely picked up all of our spirits. So I have to do, out of those two, yeah, it would have been Sattler's try-saving tackle.
No, that's fair enough. And then 2 years later, you're in the grand final again with the Tigers. More or less a fairy tale story with the Tigers because, you know, their 5th year in the comp since merging with Western Suburbs and Balmain becoming the merger. And yeah, what was that like again, getting there and the week leading up to and everything in between?
The week, wow, it was. There were a lot of media, a lot of attention as you get in the grand final. Do
you think definitely more than what you received in 03?
Oh, they were both the same. I just think because the West Tigers had never played in the grand final before as an organisation, the calibre of our players, we have more of a younger side, I guess, and I guess for me having more of a leadership role within the West Tigers.
Yep.
As the only player that played in the grand final and had experienced what it's like to play in the grand final, I think I felt more ownership and leadership to lead and perform. Don't get me wrong, we had a number of leaders in our team.
Yeah, of course. But you were one of the ones that had grand final experience. Yeah,
that's right. And just how can I put it? Playing alongside Benji Marshall, he was just a young, confident, Māori boy, Kiwi boy from New Zealand, and just seeing a club that has never experienced this magnitude of a game before. I guess it, and not. I don't think CJ that I'll be playing in another grand final.
Yeah,
I thought after the Panthers, well, this could be.
This is it. You know, this is the peak. Yeah.
This is the peak. I may not get this opportunity again. And when I signed up with the West Tigers, they weren't a top 8 team.
You went over with Sats, I'm pretty sure, as well, from the Panthers to the Tigers, because you went in 04, didn't you? Or did you go in 05 to the Tigers?
I went in 05 with the West Tigers.
Because it's like, Sats went in 04. Sorry.
Sats was a big part and influence of me signing with the West Tigers.
Oh, okay.
He put in a good word with Tim Sheens, and I caught up with Satsy and Tim Sheens before I signed up. So Sats was
a driving factor
in me signing with the Tigers.
No, that's good. And obviously at the end of the game, everyone knows that grand final because so many of the teammates had to, gave the swear and all that at the end of the game. But that's just young, inexperienced, and literally on that massive high of high. What was it like at the end of that grand final when you realised you'd won and done it again, literally 2 years after you'd done it the first time?
The words that came out of the mouth, the words that came out of our players' mouths was X-rated. But they're in the motion. They've just
it's the raw emotion, yeah.
Achieved something special. It was raw. It was raw and it was real. For me, it was I guess a sense of relief. I probably had about 20 family members fly from New Zealand to
far out
to be a part of this occasion, and to get the win was obviously special and awesome. And with that West Tigers team, we're usually when you play team sports for a long time, there's always one bad apple in the team. But I have to say that the Panthers and also the Tigers, a team where we're all connected, and we respected each other, and our communication with each other was awesome. So it was surreal. It went so quickly. The week.
And now the years passed. It's been 15 years since.
A lot of partying, I'll tell you what. But yeah, no, it was really special, and I was able to share that moment with my big brother Vern, who did the lap of honour with me and celebrated with me, as well as my family that night. And yeah, it was a memories that I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Honestly, that's awesome. And speaking of partying, what's your current beer of choice at the moment?
I don't mind the Pale Ale, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, over here in New Zealand, we have a beer called the Tuakana.
Okay.
A beer, which is the Pale Ale. Yes, okay. I like Pale Ale. I back in my days to like the old Corona, but I stick to my Pale Ale these days.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. How do you like your steak cooked?
I like my steak well done.
Oh, okay.
Well done, cooked to perfection. I like a bit of marinade.
What movie or show, sort of on Netflix or whatever, are you currently binging, or a movie that you watched recently that you really loved?
Yes, so over here in New Zealand, we had COVID lockdown for a long period of time a few months ago.
Yep.
We're currently in a 2-week lockdown here in Auckland at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The Netflix programs episode that I've watched over and over again would have to be The Last Dance, Michael Jordan.
Okay.
So I've had a few reruns of that program. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan.
Yep.
I think it's a legend. So yeah, I have to say the Last Dance.
Yep. Well, that's fair enough. If you hadn't have gone into the NRL first grade, what do you think? What job you would have eventuated into in life?
My older brother joined the army. I have a couple of elder cousins that joined the SAS and the Foreign Legion.
Oh wow!
Yep. So I believe that I would have gone into the army, looking to go into the SAS.
Yep, which is the elite of the elite, specialized service, yes. Far out.
Yep. So that was what I wanted to do, but it wasn't meant to be.
Clearly not, no. But you obviously were destined for other things. And backtracking to the grand finals, to anyone who doesn't know, you had your 2003 ring stolen from your house. I don't know whether it was a home invasion or something, but it was stolen nonetheless. But it wasn't found by the police until about 5 years later in 2008. What was that like, having, for lack of a better term, the highest of highs in 2003, and then having that more or less taken from you, minus the memories, because the memories will stay with you, and then having it returned to you again? Like, what? Tell us all about that.
My last game for the Panthers was in 2004. We played the Bulldogs in the preliminary grand final. We lost. The Bulldogs went on to win that year.
Mm-hmm.
It was my last game, and I spent the night out with my former teammates up at the Panthers club, and I rocked up at home at the early hours of the morning. What I do know was daylights, and we rocked up and noticed that my house had been burgled. So they knew that I was out playing footy, and so yeah, it wasn't a nice feeling at all.
Mm.
The NRL were very supportive, though.
Okay.
Within the next couple of months, they made me a new NRL ring.
Oh wow!
So
okay.
They made me a new ring, exactly the same. So thank you to the NRL, Zed's Jeweler. They were primo. When I signed with the Huddersfield Giants in 2008, a year later I got a call from Menzies, the Panthers trainer, and told me that the police had done a raid on a drug house out in Penrith.
Okay.
And they found this ring.
Oh.
So there's only one ring. There's only one ring with 2003 with number 4.
Yep.
Which was fun. So yeah, very, very grateful that they were able to find their original ring.
And did you have to give back the replacement one to the NRL, or were you allowed to keep it as well?
Oh, that's the funny story. I didn't. I was able to keep the ring that they gave me, but I still haven't managed to get hold of that original ring
yet. Oh, wow, okay.
I don't want to drop names.
Don't.
Given to a former West Tigers, a West Tigers
teammate
player within that 2005, and it's been misplaced somewhere in their house, so it's yet to be returned yet.
But at least you know where it is. You just don't know where it is. Yep.
I know which house it's in. West Tigers premiership winning player teammate.
No, don't name names, but you at least know it's safe. So yeah.
I know it's safe, or hopefully it's safe.
Yep.
But, it's although it wasn't nice to get your ring stolen. I was really grateful for the NRL to recreate this ring. It's the same ring, and my dad wears that ring down in Wellington.
Oh wow!
So he walks around the local township with the ring out.
Yep. Well, you've got the 05 ring anyway, so you've more or less got rings for days. As you mentioned, after your time with the Tigers, you went over to Huddersfield and played in the Super League. What was that like, again, culture-wise and in general, the sport in particular?
Yeah, very cold.
Yeah? Colder than New Zealand, do you reckon?
Very cold. Colder than New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, colder than New Zealand. The sun's out here at the moment.
No.
I remember watching during the 06 or 07 season, I missed the game. I had a head concussion. So I missed one game, and Tim Sheens pulled up this young 16, 17-year-old kid from straight out of school, and it was obviously Chris Lawrence, and never had heard of him. And I'm watching the game from Sydney, and they're playing in Brisbane. He's only 17 years old. He scored set up 2 tries and scored a 60-meter try himself.
And now he's retiring at the end of this season. So big ups to him for that career.
Yes, yeah, great man, great team man, legendary player, very professional person. It was great to see him have a long career. But at the time, I was watching Chris. I thought to myself, "Wow, I better start looking elsewhere."
Yeah,
I knew this kid had talents.
And you didn't want to hinder his making it into the first grade team by trying to stay. Example, Cameron Smith with Brandon Smith, sorry.
Yeah. But no, in all honesty, I stayed another year at the Tigers and was able to take Chris under my wing at that time. But for me, I knew that it was time to move on. My body was breaking down a little bit. Mm-hmm. Little niggle injuries turned into long injuries, and I thought, hey, I'm 26 years old now. I played 2 NRL Grand Finals. I played over 100. And
you played for the Kiwis at that point as well, you know?
Yeah, I thought I ticked all the boxes, and I thought, hey, I've only got a short lifespan. I need to
give it a crack in the Super League.
Yep, I need to think business sense. I need to think pro longevity. And so Huddersfield come with a lucrative contract. And I signed with Huddersfield and moved there for 3 years. And at the time, the first year, I enjoyed it. My daughter, Gabrielle Kai, who's 10 years old now, was born over in England. And
oh wow! So they're an English citizen, I'm guessing, a British citizen.
No. She's an Aussie Kiwi citizen.
Okay.
But unfortunately, she wasn't able to get that dual passport.
Oh, okay.
So it's been well documented. I had mixed experiences over there, but it's life chucks us curveballs, and it's how we learn from those experiences. And footy was great. It was probably also my off-field life and with my mental health state at that time. And yeah, so
did you go travelling while you were over there? Because a lot of players, when they go over there, obviously it's a very long season, including the Challenge Cup, which makes it an even longer season. But you get chances like you wouldn't over in Australia. You get literally, say you've got the bye for the weekend sort of thing. You can literally go over to France or Germany or Italy, literally just for a weekend, and it's like flying from New South Wales to Queensland level. CJ, what was that like?
CJ, it was primo. Like I flew to Dubai for £20. I travelled around, and as a young man, you party a lot, and I made some good friends and got to experience a different culture. I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. I was able to make friends for life, and for a sport that you love playing, and to travel, and I'm not going to lie, you make some good money doing something you love.
Yeah,
playing a sport, it's a great living. Fantastic.
No, that's fair. What are you doing with yourself these days?
What I'm doing right now, CJ, I am the director of my company, Internal Strength. I've created a 10-module resilience program that I deliver to the corporates, professional sporting teams, and high schools across Aotearoa, New Zealand. I have been, before this year, I have been working between two countries, Australia and New Zealand. So pretty much in a nutshell, just helping people to maintain their health and well-being, stay mentally and physically strong, and to be the best that you can be.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. We've got a question from one of our sponsors, SkyeSpark Electrical. So just got to give them a quick plug, which is anyone, if you need electrical services done around your house, whether that's from getting a light installed to big stuff if your house is being built on the Central Coast, all the way up to Nelson's Bay and all that, give them a call. He's a big Panthers tragic. He actually asks, what advice would you give to your younger self to go through life knowing what you know now?
The advice I'll give to myself is to always be honest, and to always give your best every day. Always give your best in whatever you do.
No, that's fair. No, honestly, that's awesome. What are your thoughts on the Panthers season so far? We touched on it earlier. What are your thoughts on how they're going, getting the 10 in a row, and who do you think, if the Panthers do make the grand final, because I believe they're a smoky for the grand final, because I spoke to Ivan earlier this year, smoky in my opinion, even before COVID hit, they were for the grand final, and it's looking like it. If they are, who do you think they'll go up against in the grand final?
Yeah, they're having an outstanding season.
I'll be surprised if they don't make it.
But you never know. Rugby league is a tough sport, and things can turn very quickly. But at the moment, they're in hot form. They are the team of the year thus far, and they're playing fantastic football. I think I'm a big Sonny Bill fan. Even though me and my fiance, we have battles. She loves the Roosters. I don't. Because she likes them. I admire them, and I just think.
Is that stemming from 2003 or just in general?
Oh no, just because my fiance is her team. I've
okay.
got a lot of respect for the Roosters. It's just that she likes them, so I've got to have a bit of banter in the house. So I have to say, I'm a big Sonny Bill fan. I think hopefully his inclusion to the Roosters will uplift that team, and they're a winning team. They've won 2 in a row already, and if they're still hungry enough to go for the three-peat, I reckon that they'll be there. So my beloved Panthers, I reckon my money's on it.
That would be interesting. That would be really interesting if it's a Panthers Roosters grand final and the Panthers win, mate. A replay from 2003. That'd be so interesting.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah. Now, did you have any routines or rituals pre-game or the night before? And if not, who do you remember seeing maybe had the weirdest one that you've seen?
Well, I can tell you, I had I was a very routine sort of person. Okay. I can share with you a story of
please do.
Marshall routine.
Oh yeah, please do.
I remember the grand final. The night before the grand final, of all nights, the biggest scam of your life. And him and Robbie and Dean Hallertau used to have sleepovers the night before. And, was that just in general a routine they would do? In general, it was just their routine. 2005, the night before, they used to stay around Dean Hallertau's house.
Yep.
Just to chill out, have a bit of banter, and get a good sleep, and enjoy each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
The night of the grand final, however, Benji Marshall felt like McDonald's, so he went out and brought home at 11 o'clock at night McDonald's for their pre-match meal for the biggest game of their lives.
That's not a really good meal for a pre-match meal.
No, it was Robbie and Dean said no, but Benji indulged, and look what he did the next day.
Yeah, like I mean, I can understand pasta or something like that, but fucking Macca's, and then what he did the next day.
Final.
I feel like maybe 5/8 around the NRL should, whenever they prep for a grand final, take a page out of that.
Well, it worked. So hey, it worked. For me, I had a routine. I used to clean my boots every game.
Okay. But as in on game day or the day before?
On game day, game morning. I did that from the age of 16.
Okay.
Make sure they had clean boots. I guess my pre-match meal would have been steak, broccoli.
Okay. Yep.
I'm a Kiwi boy. I love my bread. and probably some potatoes. It didn't have to be that all the time, but it was either that or a big carbo meal or pasta. And I used to before a game, if it was a night game, during the day, I would sleep for 1 or 2 hours. I don't know why. I was just
like
just
a nap
sleep.
sort of thing.
Just a little nap, not a 10-minute nap, but like a 2-hour nap.
Yeah. Hey, I had a nap this morning, so but yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? If it was like a 7 o'clock PM start sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I don't nap as much during the day, but just clean boots and have a little nap during the day, or if it's a night game, and
yep.
And that's pretty much my prep.
Yeah.
Or routine anyway.
Yeah. No, that's fair. What team was the hardest for you personally to go up against emotionally and physically in the NRL and the Super League?
Okay, so the hardest team, I have to say, I don't want to sound cliche, but
the Roosters, I'm guessing?
Every single team that you play in the NRL, you have to turn up with your A game, because there's a high amount of quality in every side. For me to, I guess, when you play against your past teams, I'll go New Zealand Warriors.
Okay.
When you play them in New Zealand,
I've heard that.
Your family don't get to see you as often, and you play in your home soil. You're playing against the Warriors. You want to play. You want to impress your family, your friends. So I have to say, the Warriors. When I played for the Australian teams, coming home to playing against them, it was easy to get me motivated.
Yeah, okay, and would that would have also transferred into the physical aspect as well, because you would have wanted not just to mentally do well, you would have wanted to have like a PB type game, you know. And what about when you were playing in England for Huddersfield? What team was that for you, sort of thing?
Well, it had to be the Leeds Rhinos.
I love the Rhinos. I'm a fan of the Rhinos.
They're a top team for a number of years, especially the 3 years that I was part of the Huddersfield organisation.
Mm-hmm.
So, you always knew you were in for a game when you played against Leeds. Clinton Torpy, they had Kylie Luluwai. So they had so many
star-studded.
Star-studded in championships don't lie. They won a number of championships during those golden years for them.
Yeah, for sure. What was it like to pull on the black and white of the Kiwis? Obviously, do the haka and in general, play for your beloved country.
Representing New Zealand, it was a dream come true. I'm sure you ask any Kiwi boy that lives in New Zealand, you either want to play for the All Blacks or you want to play for the Kiwis, and to achieve that was a special occasion for myself, for my family. It was a special moment in my career. Don't get me wrong, my debut got hammered by Australians.
But it was still pride. Still pride to
easily too. But in saying that, I was a part of teams that beat Australia. We played Australia in the grand final in England in the Tri Nations, and we were able to beat Australia 24-0, which was a special occasion for New Zealand Rugby League. It would have been over 50 odd years before New Zealand had beat Australia in the grand final.
Was that the 05 Tri Nations?
05, yes.
Yeah, I remember watching that because I was watching it with my mate who is a Kiwi, and obviously I go for Australia, and I was just like, well done, but not a happy loss for the Kangaroos that night. I can say that much. So continue.
It wasn't, but it was a proud moment. We both know how strong
made history, Australia, more or less.
Yeah, and I think their grand final win put the Kiwis in good stead for over the next 6 to 7 years, where the Kiwis were consistent.
Oh, they were so consistent, yeah.
Over that period, so I think that was the starting step. Unfortunately, it's we're due to get another victory, but hey, this is Australia. They're quality players, mentally, physically. So it's special when you do beat Australia.
Yeah, well, it would be definitely because Australia and New Zealand are the pinnacle of sporting at the moment in rugby league, and I'd say it'd be the All Blacks and the Springboks in rugby union. Speaking of rugby union, real quick, have you been watching the Aotearoa conference, and how do you think that's going?
Oh, I think it's going great. I watched a couple of games, and although the last weekend the game was cancelled due to COVID-19 lockdown here in Auckland, watching rugby and having Mount Eden Park having 40,000 people at the stadium, which is only down the road from where we live.
Yep.
It was great, and the quality of football too. I have to say, I'm a leaguey.
Yep.
It's the quality of the rugby has really picked up immensely.
Yeah.
It's really entertaining.
I've not really watched rugby much the last 10 years or so because, like yourself, I'm a league devout. But I've switched over a bit, in between, because obviously COVID, you'll watch as much sport as you can get. So, I've been watching the Aotearoa, the Australian conference, even the South African conference, and it really has picked up from when I used to watch it in the Super 12s way back when to now. It's second to none.
Yeah, and some great athletes too. Oh, Burton Barrett and yes, there's some. I think there's a number of rugby union players that will make it big in rugby league. I believe.
I was going to say I'd definitely like to see some of them. I think one that would definitely do well is TJ Paranara. I think he'd do really well in rugby league.
He's a quality player. He's tough. He's tough, and he has He's got great ball skills, and he's got a really good running game too. Especially for a halfback, he's quite a big man. I bumped into him at the Auckland Westfield here about a month ago.
Oh, wow.
I had a great talk with him. And he's not small for a halfback, I'll tell you that.